This year at Gold Hill, we are looking at the whole Old Testament, one book a week, finding out God's great purpose in our world. All the resources are at goldhill.org/GGP. This week we're exploring the book of Amos, and it has plenty to say about religion. You see, religion is dangerous. Coming from Northern Ireland, I can still see that religion has caused division, bondage, hurt and violence. At times religion has enslaved people and causing them to suffer, and God hates it. What? God hates religion? In the book of Amos, we see a shepherd turned prophet speak about God's passion for justice, his hatred towards a religion that causes injustice, and the coming judgment on Israel as a result of it. The message of Amos insists that the way God connects with his people does not just include showing up for church on a Sunday, or using God's name to achieve their own purposes, but rather it includes the worship of God in our everyday life. In other words, a relationship rather than a religion. Amos starts by speaking words of God judging Israel's neighbours, which is well received by the Israelite people. Yet when Amos starts to say that Israel will also receive judgment for their sin, things start to get a little personal. Not only is the message still relevant today, as God still hates religion, but most importantly, the message is still relevant today because God still loves people. The name Amos means one who bears a burden. Jesus says in Matthew chapter 11 verse 28, "Come to me all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Jesus is the greater Amos and has come to bear our burden. He died on the cross to take our punishment for sin and rose 3 days later to show that he had power over sin and death, setting us free to rest in his salvation rather than carrying the burden of trying to work for our forgiveness. That is what God desires, a relationship with his people which brings life and liberty rather than a burdening religion which ultimately leads to sin and death. The book of Amos points to the obvious reality that the people have sinned and the people will be punished as a result. But the book finishes with a message of hope and reconciliation, that God would restore a remnant of Israel. There would be better days to come, a time of healing and restoration where people would live in the peace of God's kingdom. Today the same message is true. We look around, we don't need to be told we have sinned. The Bible is clear that we deserve punishment for that. But like in the story of Amos, there is hope. Jesus has lived a perfect life, died a brutal death in our place before rising from the dead, so that through him we too can be a people that live in the presence of God, a life of relationship with God, free from corrupt religion.